First of all, I want to start by just saying welcome to the post-conference of our first cycle. It's good to see you this morning, and I look forward to working with you throughout and learning from each other. You know, just basically what can I learn from you, what can you learn from me, both on level platforms and just starting from there. So the purpose of this post-conference is to discuss the data that I collected based on the focus that you asked me to look for, and that was student participation in the classroom and how that was affected by your pacing. So that's the purpose today, and I just want to open up by asking you, how do you feel your lesson went?
See, the lessons, I think, are not like terrible, but I think that they need some work because, well, as you saw, I had a lot of kids talking, distracted, and I think it's just the environment. You know, they don't have anything in front of them. It's not like band, you know, they don't have the instrument in their hands. You know, so they're tempted to talk, but I still feel like I could have gone a little quicker.
Okay. Thank you. You feel like they're tempted to talk, and you said you think that's related to. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I think it's one part of it is that, you know, it's a different type of class.
Okay.
So the structure's a little different.
Okay, good.
And then, as opposed to band, where you have something in your hand, you know, the instrument, in chorus, you're singing, and they naturally they're people that like to talk usually. So, and it's kind of an atmosphere where you know the people, you get close to the people, and so they're all friends. And so that's just.
Gotcha. Well, I'm glad you mentioned structure. We're going to talk a little bit about structure later on today, but you're already beginning to reflect on this active participation and lack of participation and engagement, and you said a big word in that structure, so we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But until then, I know you had an agenda on the board, and I really like that visual being there present for them when they walk in. I just want to ask you, how did you know that your learning outcomes for the day were accomplished?
Usually it's just really by listening into you know, the sound, because again, in chorus, you know, it's singing, so basically how successful are they at singing whatever I've written. I think the day you came in it was pages 5 to 6 in a piece, so how successfully, how correct were the pitches, each one, and that kind of, and then I have to change some of the things, like my agenda might change during the class period depending on how well they're doing on whatever piece we're doing. I think I hit some of the parts from the agenda a little longer than I had planned in my lesson plan, just because of whether they were grasping and getting the pitches correctly or not.
Okay. So, do you feel like that agenda kind of, you know, you plan that agenda to drive your instruction for the day and to drive towards this learning outcome? With that said, let's take that agenda for just a second and chunk it out. So the very first thing on the agenda was do now, and so I'm going to go back to my original question, and that's, do you feel like your do now activity was effective and your desired outcomes were effective?
The do now, I think because they're so kind of distracted in class, I don't think the do now was very successful, because I think some of them knew the answers, but a lot of them, I don't know, you know, they didn't know the answers, and we'd gone over everything, the materials the day before. So I think getting them kind of more engaged would help them for the do now to be more successful with those review questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And so again, getting them more engaged, we're already steering towards structure. What does engagement look like for the do now activity? So then when you move from do now, you moved into a writing activity.
When a bell